broken alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare 'cause the flames
Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective at work.
Hello, everybody. You can't see me. Ta-da! Oh my gosh. Welcome to Level Up Podcast. I'm so excited today for a lot of things. I was just last night talking to one of my sister in Singapore, and we were talking about the Global Summit. She's coming, and she's like, I have so many things I'm doing. I don't know what I want to give away. And I'm like, well, most people want to know how you got where you got, and also want to know, like, shortcut to how we get to be here. I mean, there's no such thing as shortcut in life. You have to like do the hard work so you can get there, and then it becomes shorter, right? Because you're doing it so much. But there are things that we can tell you from doing what we're doing so you don't have to suffer the way we do. So she's like, I have a lot of mistakes upcoming. You know, she is a stay-at-home mom. She has 3 kids, and she has business as a consultant, really, to customize training solutions for business to consumer. And mostly right now, her training is corporate training, which is business to business. And she's like, yeah, if I can work with Chevron, Petronas, like all this big company as a stay-at-home mom, I think anyone can. Let me list all those mistakes that I did. So it'll be a shorter version. I'm like, aha, that's a good way we can provide value to our community. So I'm excited for you guys to actually be in our global summit. And then I started panicking because I was like, oh my God, it's 22 days. I've waited a year and then now it's only 22 days. I can't believe it. I am hoping you guys are excited as I am because we put so much work into it. I'm going to show you a couple of videos today that is for sale for in the Global Summit. But what's really you're buying is the nuggets, right? The nuggets of the how to. There's a lot of how to's out there, but keep in mind that I align myself with business leaders who are heart centered, who's willing to give me, $5,000, $10,000 courses or programs that they have for $50. Like, hello. I don't know if you don't see the value. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm trying to elevate my community through my mission, which is leveling up the world through education. And my vision is to be the Netflix of education. That's a lifetime. That's a continuous improvement. Work with me here. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple of some of these videos and see what you think. Let's see if I can actually share my entire screen. It's gonna look kind of weird for you guys because it's gonna be like double probably, or maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so let's start with Steve. See if I can play just a little bit. These are some of the videos that are for sale. Because I think that's what my problem is right now. Like, I want to add on my author's page on Amazon, right? I want to add my name, but because there's maximum of 10 authors, I can't add my name. So I can't add it on an author's book.
Talks about, okay, we've done the book, but now we need to get the mindset that we've just graduated from medical school and we have a degree that is bestseller. Now we need to go to work and learn how to be the bestseller that we are out in the world, to show the world what we've been able to do in written form, essentially. And then lastly, included in that is my Only the Beginning 5-step formula for ongoing wealth. And that really is just 5 steps that helps you, again, be able to write the book, market the book, monetize it. And it's designed to be a rinse and repeat. Do these 5 things and then go back to number 1 and do these 5 things over and over and over again.
Wow, that is such like an amazing giveaway. Thank you so much for doing that. And the last part of this is the book marketing I want to talk about. Like, now that we got the book, it's bestseller, we are going to monetize it, but that's the goal. But now, how do we market this book? Like, what are some effective strategies for building an author platform before launching a book? Like, do we need to actually talk about it before the book launch, or do it after the book launch, or during the book launch? Like, what is the best way to market your book? Aha, I'm going to stop there. That is the question. You got the book, now you're doing it, but do we market it before, after, during? What are we doing? And Steve will provide that information. These are some of the videos that you're going to be buying for $50. But here's the kicker. There's bonuses. There's PDF forms that you actually can buy along with these things, so that, or even just a link to get to where these books are. So you can also be the best that you can be. I sound like I'm marketing for military. I swear that's what I sound like. But that is where all of these things are. And his video is 46 minutes, right? And so I'm going to show you another one. Willie J just got front page in Forbes magazine in Morocco. Wow. That's all I can say. I was like, bro, take me. It's so much collaboration happening. I'm loving it. These are just some, okay?
We get free access, even if you can't attend and be one of the 12 that's chosen to get, in the fullness, to get the bulk and the full souffle, if you will, of whoever start winning. But on this call, it will definitely set you in motion to, as far as your mindset. Because I think we're only great as our mindset, right? And I like to take that word backwards, and we'll talk about that in that call, how to set your mind. If you read it backwards, it says set mind. So we'll show you how to reset it like you're resetting a timer, a video timer, or your alarm. And you can just come back and reset your mind and get ready, and gear yourself and set yourself up to level up even more.
That's right. That's the best words of level up.
That's
Leveled you up today. Let me tell you. Okay, she got lighting going on. She got audio.
yeah. Shouts out.
Shout out to your wife for making it happen. I haven't met her, but man, I already love her for sure. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about the second thing that you're going to give away of how to sustain your growth in this 15-minute call.
Okay, how to sustain your growth. Once again, that once you get the consulting, we'll get your foundation, because I believe you're only as strong as your foundation. So you'll get foundational principles, and then we'll go even to greater strategies. And it's like a build up in a movie. You'll get the preview, you'll get some ingredients and key ingredients, and now we'll show you how to implement those ingredients and take action. Because if you don't take action, you have all the information, but information.
His giveaway is amazing. He's actually working with Jan Maxwell's, creator of Jan Maxwell's Leadership. It's like $15,000, I think, for a class, or maybe even more. And for $50, not only will you get a consulting strategy with Willie J, but you're also going to get a free replay of Jan Maxwell's courses. I said, sign me up. I'm taking it because that is such an amazing thing. Now, this, I cannot believe that she let me have this amazing things, but I'm going to show you one last thing before I bring my guest today. I'm super excited with Grace's conversation today, quite honestly. I can't contain myself because it is an amazing journey that we're going to be taking today with my Sherpa. I love this conversation. One more from Isabel Fortin. Consciously, right? It's kind of a difficult time. But the hardest part, I think, for me is the
I have a friend from Chinese descent.
She's part of and I got the scarlet.
So that the reflection of who you are still looks pretty. Never gonna happen. Never. So at the end of the day, it has to be, no, exactly. And at the end of the day, it has to be about you. And I know, and I was raised Catholic, I know that putting ourselves first is a mortal sin. Well, then shoot me, because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
No.
You can't.
You can't. You can't. And that is one of the reasons that we're having that. And she's giving away, okay, get this, her program, her 21-day program. Hello? Yeah, I can't wait for this summit for sure. I'm going to be buying a lot of my people summit because it is an amazing deal, and it's an amazing way for you and my community to level up in an affordable way. But today, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Let me see if Grace is ready. How are you?
Hey CJ, aloha.
Aloha. I think it is only 6:15 your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's super early, guys, and I really appreciate her being here. She's probably like, oh my God, why did I say yes to this? How are you doing today? Good morning.
Yeah, excited to be here with you, CJ.
Honestly, this is exciting for me. So my community doesn't know who you are. Can you introduce yourself to our community?
Absolutely. Here for service, right? As you're talking about that heart-centered, people-centered way of being with each other, knowing that we're all interconnected. So my background a little bit, been a nurse for almost 40 years and done the conventional thing, also did the holistic thing. And the main thread through all that is really looking for things that work. Yeah. That can impact lives and make a difference in someone's life, um, to shift them in a positive trajectory. And so through COVID was a necessity to reinvent myself. Lost my business, and like 30% of Hawaii businesses, that's basically what happened. So in that search is really finding out what drives me.
Mm,
Yeah. In terms of what passion drives me. Yeah. So along that thread is, what are some of these solutions for these medical GoFundMes? Are there actually financial solutions out there that I can be the way shower? Like you mentioned the word Sherpa. We all need a Sherpa in life in terms of climbing whatever Mount Everest that we have in front of us, right? And so today I educate and advocate for something called living benefits inside of life insurance. I love to help people connect the dots to who's doing the best, in the industry, who's offering the best, and how do you get connected with stuff like that to create that income safety net.
yeah, and that's the reason why, because before this Zoom, Grace and I have been meeting secretly. Just to see what the possibilities are in terms of,
Mhm.
we work so hard every single day and for years and years and years. And then by the time we retire, we barely have any money to do anything,
Mhm.
let alone travel, let alone enjoy life. That now that you're retired, instead, you're stuck at home. You're better off working because you're stuck at home looking at four walls because you can't afford to go anywhere, really,
Mhm.
right? Especially today. And you really, I think that word Sherpa is so fitting because you really are taking people to get out of that, not only the mentality but physically able to do it based on finance. I mean, yes,
Having options, yeah, like you talk about. Mhm.
yeah, it's really amazing. But let's go back 20 years and within your timeline, tell me a little bit of some of the significant changes in your life that got you here where you are today. You talk a little bit about the COVID situation,
Mm. Mhm.
but go back 20 years. Like, how did Grace became here?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah. And my entire life has prepared me for what's happening now, just like your entire life has prepared you for what's happening in, bringing this summit together, bringing other leaders together, all the incredible offerings. And so for me is really that spiritual journey, right? It has always been a part of my priority, so to speak, going from being born into Christianity, very conservative kind of a household that built the moral backbone, to having to um, redefine all that. Yeah. And so it's a breaking apart and continual breaking apart and dissolving into allowing truth to reveal itself. And so part of that journey is really, okay, leaving California, yeah, coming to Hawaii, and you would think, oh, that's an idyllic kind of a life, right? Was I attracted to this place? Absolutely. In terms of the diversity here, the humanness of how I get to observe how life unfolds in a much more simplistic way. And it's having to uh, today talk a lot about letting go. Yeah, letting go of all kinds of attachments to what material life has to look like, and trimming it down to where, how can we reconnect as villages, right? How can we reconnect um, in terms of community, in terms of even what you're building with the summit. And so that nursing piece had to go. But am I still a nurse today? Absolutely. The things that I learned in terms of being that educator through nursing. Yeah. And that client focus piece, where it is about, the reason I got into nursing is to make a difference in someone's life. And is that thread still there? Absolutely. Yeah. It's just may look a little differently for me today than it did 20 years ago. um Looking back at my 30s, I don't know that I had any clue about what it would even look like today. Um, so for me, it's a dismantling of all these identifications of who I thought I was to make room for who I am today.
I love that. It's a
Hmm.
lot of self awareness and self reflection because at the end of the day, we're so busy taking
Yeah.
in external facets of our life and elements. And, because we're bombarded with marketing, literally,
Mm.
Northern Hemisphere is all about marketing. We're like the world's most consumer driven society, right? I'm
Hmm.
guilty.
Sure,
And
we're all guilty.
yeah,
Yeah, and we're part of it.
in my
We
house.
said yes to it. You
Yeah,
know?
like there's just so much. Like, can you live without it? Yeah, there's so
Listen, CJ, you're doing something amazing with the framework of marketing, right? You're up leveling community. I mean, there's so many things I heard earlier that really caught my heart, and it's collaboration. Yeah, it's bringing out the best in people, right? And how do we help each other up level as a community? I mean, that just absolutely grabbed me,
yeah,
and in terms of what you are and who you're about and what you're trying to create to become that platform for education because you care about up-leveling people's lives.
I do.
And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I only like I think some people we're all in this journey together. Some are
Mm,
behind, some are with
mm,
the same, and some are in front, right?
yeah.
I really want to engage the people who are in front to
Mm,
level me up so we can level the people that are behind, right? That's really what I'm trying to do in the race.
mhm,
It's like a
mhm,
three-legged race. Like, hey, can you slow down a little bit? Come here, come here. We gotta pull this brother over here and sister over here. They're just lagging. Let's go.
mm,
Really, I
mm.
wanted to just kind of level that up where it's neutral
Yeah.
for everyone. And I know that maybe some even people like, oh, that's like a socialist thinking, and I'm like, no, it's I don't label what I'm doing as this and that and this.
It's
I'm
awareness
doing.
of who has needs and how can I be of service. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's how I'm seeing that and reframe it in the sense that, if you call the laggers behind, it allows us, and I take Gandhi as an example, right? His suffering then allowed the perpetrator, if you want to call it that, to see their own soul in causing that suffering. So perhaps there might be an opportunity for awakening. And so these are all opportunities for awakening.
and I love it. I'm like
Mhm.
I'm shaking it up a little bit. Like,
You're shaking it up a little, and
yeah.
you're bringing in a modern twist, and you're bringing CJ to it, and that's what I love to see, right?
I
That it's
know.
that spark. Hmm.
I told my friends, be careful when you say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do," and I'm like, "I have homework for you. I have a lot of to-do list for you to
Hmm.
do."
Hmm.
But let's talk about, explain out financial Sherpa and
Mm.
what is it, and what services or guidance do you provide to individuals?
I love that question too. And this comes from my own journey, right? As a nurse for almost 40 years and going through that healthcare journey with myself, my peers, and seeing that, wow, when I got into nursing, the typical, education is or non-education is actually, well, get a 401k. Nobody shows you how these things work. Nobody shows you how they don't work. There's nobody to show you other options that might be out there. Yeah. In other words, I'm talking about the hand holding that most of us actually need to begin to understand how money works and how can we leverage different tools out there if we could just have access to that right information. So, as we're summiting that Mount Everest, right? In a sense of what kind of crampons do you need, right? What kind of ropes do you need? And what rock should you tie your thing to so that you can get up to the summit? I mean, that's an intimate relationship that I'm talking about. And so, when I use the term financial Sherpa, it's really someone who's willing to walk with you and who is willing to then take you by the hand and help you connect the dots, ultimately giving you the power to empower you to make a better choice for yourself. Because ultimately, who has the best financial interest? You do. Yeah, it's not somebody else. And I don't think we should ever put that onto somebody else's plate in terms of taking care of our finances. And so that's how I would define it. Yeah, someone to walk with you, yeah,
Right?
through
It
that
is all
financial
about you.
journey.
So, yes.
Yeah.
So, here's the
Mhm.
thing. a lot of people don't want to talk about money
Mm.
because A, we don't have it, B, we don't have enough of it, and
Mhm.
C, oh my God, don't take my money. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
listen, I was there. I was there 3.5 years ago. Yeah, so it's been not a very long time ago where if you ask Gracie, hey, talk to me about money, guess where I would go? I would run the other way. Yeah, because growing up Christian, guess what? Money's bad. Money's the root of all evil. Rich people are bad. But then it's coming to that dissolution, that dismantling of all these limiting beliefs, that I mentioned earlier, and really checking things out, just beginning to open that door, yeah, to have that courage to ask questions. You know, is there something else out there that I perhaps need to be aware of? Yeah. And when we're ready, guess what? Universe will show you the way.
I'm blown away.
Mm.
Okay, first of all, you're right about that. When it's your time, it's your time.
Yes.
And when people, it's so weird when you meet people
Hmm.
the very first time, even for a phone call, right? And you sit there and listen. And then literally yesterday, I had a conversation with a brand new person. I
Mm.
we tried Zoom and Zoom just didn't work for me. Listen, guys,
Okay.
at a time. I am so busy up to the wazoo right
Yeah.
now. It's been
Hmm.
funny.
I can't even imagine, getting
Yeah,
ready for the summit in 22
I'm
days.
doing
Oh my
it
gosh.
alone in this end, like the back
Mm.
end, because there's a lot of technical
Yeah.
things in it, and I'm literally telling the owner of the platform, this isn't working. You need to do this, and he's
Mm.
probably thinking, like, what the? I'm like, no, I'm serious. You need to level up. This. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's probably thinking, who are you? And I'm like, I have a technical background, just
Mm.
FYI. But here's the thing. Our conversation yesterday really shook me because I
Mm.
knew it, but I didn't know it. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And so when you meet people that you meant to meet, it's really amazing, like you, because he basically said anything that we're doing, whatever we're doing, I don't care what you're doing.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, it boils down to just acceptance and love.
It does. Yeah. And being loving towards all of life, however it shows up, right? That's the lesson for all of us.
And I'm like,
Now, whether
wow,
it's experience or people.
yeah. And I'm like, wow, we complicate
Mm.
everything. At the
Mm.
end of the day, you're right. It is that Maslow's hierarchy basic needs, right? Self
Mm.
gratification is only at the top, but love really is a good middle ground foundation of everything that you do. Because if you look at it, there's a lot of people that, I mean, even with children during COVID, it's not like COVID did it. COVID just
Yeah.
highlighted it and brought it out.
Yep.
It's not the one all be all. It's just saying, hey, we have a problem. We have a society problem. We are bombarded with
Yes.
everything,
Systemic problems, right?
especially with the finance. Like
Hmm.
everyone wants to go away, but then why is the rich are getting rich? It's because they're educating themselves on how to do it,
Mm.
right? And I love what you're doing. It's because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, so I could just retire here every day and collect this much money. I could do that. And we're talking about, oh, 1 million here. Like it's just $1. 1 million a day doing nothing for a month. I'm like, sign me up, like that's where it
Yeah.
is. But we talk a little bit about, what inspired you to be a financial Sherpa, but what is the most rewarding about helping people with their finances to you that you've seen in the
Mm.
last few years?
Hmm. Hmm. And I love how you're driving this conversation, right? Because ultimately, we all do things that give us satisfaction and fulfillment. And, tying back to that impact piece, right? When I can see that people can take this information and shift generational trajectories, first beginning with themselves and their families, and then be able to become that circle of influence for their community, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge. And so, how do we create a ripple? Well, you have to first of all be willing to drop into the pond. Yeah, and then allow that ripple effect to begin to circle around and come to touch many, many lives. So it always starts with us. And that's what I believe, getting yourself educated. And then from that point on, is then being that influence, for others, because now you can be the way shower. And that's basically what it is. The term Sherpa is really just the way shower. Hmm.
Yeah, but I wish we could show you numbers right now so you can be as excited as I am. Okay.
That
um,
takes a more private one-on-one conversation because
right? Like,
everybody's, different,
yeah, I
right?
just
Mhm.
wish I'm like, oh, I could just. I mean, the amount of money, guys, that you could be sitting in while in retirement, even at my age right now, you could
Mhm.
still be sitting pretty, instead of struggling to retire. I mean, we were talking about it, we're
Yeah.
we're we're I'm mid 40s and going to that 50s.
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
gosh. And 20
You'll
years
just get
from
sweeter
now,
and better, CJ, as you age, yeah?
20
We all
years
get
from
better.
now, I'll be in retirement, I'm hoping.
Mhm.
And now what? Right? And you want to
Yeah.
travel, you want to enjoy life. You're going towards that little mountain hill of going down after that. But at the same time, it's like, how can you enjoy life when you work so hard all your life? You can't, because it's not set up the way it's supposed to be.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And you're the answer that bridge that gap. Like, you guys, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, just ask Grace.
Yeah,
Okay.
one of those points, right? There's so many connecting points, and when people can understand some of the better tools out there, hey Nadaje, aloha, I see you on. So that's pretty cool to be able to begin to get some light, and to be able to see a different view because now, oh my gosh, jaw-dropping stuff, right? When you can tap into and have access, that creates a whole different terrain that we get to traverse together. Hmm.
Yeah. And I can't wait for you guys to look at certain things that you can do to save up. Because, like you said, you could
Mm.
put money in 401k, but really it doesn't give you any money because it goes up and down. And can you talk a little bit about what you're doing in terms of what you can talk about anyway,
Yeah,
um,
of
about
course.
taking trust? What is that
Principles.
all about? Yeah.
Yeah. So, when I got into nursing, basically the only thing available for me was basically a 401k, right? Some of the places I work with, had some kind of a pension, but those are basically no longer available to the rest of us. And so, um, as I mentioned before, not knowing how the 401k worked, not knowing how they don't work, not knowing how, whether there are options available beyond the 401k. Because if you look at, people in the know, their portfolio, it's most likely not going to contain a 401k because why would you subject yourself to being in a 100% taxable situation? And when I say that, it's really on the back end when you take money out of a 401k. That's what happens, right? Yeah, you're deferring taxes, but if you were a farmer, and I use this analogy a lot, right? Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the orchard?
Mm.
That's something to think about, right? A seed to begin with, if I pay taxes now, I'm done. And then as the orchard grows over the decades, and it continues to fruit, that's going to be much bigger down the line. And so it's set up in a way where it is a tool to then recapture taxes on the back end, much more taxes than if you would have paid it on the front end. So that's one of the ways to look at it. And mainly it's just really showing people different ways of looking at things. That's all. The other thing is trillions of dollars are lost in the market every single year that will never be recaptured from retirement plans. What if there are tools where we can tap into where you don't have to lose a single dime because they are available these days and you only capture the upward gain of the market? And isn't that what Warren Buffett teaches? To not lose a single dime is the first principle of wealth. And the other principle, if you have read, if you have ever read this book called The Richest Man in Babylon, uh, always pay yourself first. And what does that mean? It means instead of paying everybody else first, put money away for you first. And how many of us actually practice that? Yeah. And so, well, some of us do, but very, very rare because it's a rare principle that is even that is talked about these days. And so instead of spend, 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 thinking money in a linear way, make money, spend money. What if there's a ways that we can create a circular economy where we can now reallocate monies into tools that can now work for us? Yeah, every single dollar becoming an employee for you to leverage the rule of 72, which is compounding. Yeah, and that takes time. So the younger we start, the more money we can make. Why? Because we have time. Somebody like me just turned 56 last month, Um, yeah, just getting into my golden years and I haven't been better. And so yeah, having 9 more years to retirement, say, that means I have to play catch up a lot. Yeah. So how do you leverage these next 9 years if I were to retire at the age of 65, like the typical person in the United States today? Um, and what are those possible tools that I can get into that can uh, move that needle, a little further up for me versus if I kept doing the same thing? Because Einstein said, the same mindset that got us into the bind is just going to keep us in the bind. In order to shift that, you have to change your paradigm, to reframe things, to perhaps have a different input and look at different ideas so that we can maybe try something else out. Yeah. But then it be validated. That's the other thing. What do the results look like on the back end 20, 30 years from now? Because numbers don't really lie, right? You can see those results on the back end. If someone can take you by the hand and show you what that is, then you can become informed to make a better choice.
Yeah, that's true. My next question is, in your experience from your clients, what are some common financial challenges or like misconception that we face today?
Yeah. So a common one, yeah. If I mentioned and asked a simple question, right? What is your understanding of life insurance today? Most people out there, the misconception is still, oh, I have to die for the policy to pay out. Are you aware there are tools out there that you can leverage and in advance take out between 70 to 100% of that death benefit to mitigate a medical crisis? And that was the thing that caught my attention, CJ, from the very beginning, right? Is these things called living benefits, because that was the solution I was looking for as a nurse. And having seen, for almost 40 years, all these medical GoFundMe's, OMG, if I can just make a dent in something like those kinds of things, seeing friends and families go through it, yeah, when they get sick, to have to then go into bankruptcy, lose a home, have your entire financial um, trajectory be completely changed, yeah, because of that medical crisis. So if there's ways that we can set up these financial safety nets ahead of time and be able to mitigate that risk, it changes generational trajectories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Raquel said, "Isn't
Hey,
retirement
Raki.
could it be at 67?" Yeah, by the time for retiring, sister, it'll be 70. Like,
Well,
yeah,
wouldn't it be great, CJ, if we can determine when we want to retire versus, being dictated by finances? That can happen when we can get set up the right way, right? When we can know um, the best tools. I mean, if we can get into a Ferrari versus a Pinto, and now I'm dating myself with that, it works very differently, doesn't it?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But here's the thing with what I was so shook. That's why I
Mm.
asked that question.
Yeah.
It's because literally you were asking me about, do you have any I said, yeah, I have some so that when I die they can bury me and at least
Mm.
maybe they
Mhm.
can afford to bury me. And you're
Right.
like, why wait till you die? You can get
Mhm.
money
Mhm.
now. And I'm like, huh? Is that even possible?
Yeah, there are some very progressive companies that are out there, that came up with these concepts because they see what's happening with middle America, right? And the fact that working class, not only do you have the biggest tax load, yeah, who pays the taxes in this country? Middle America does. Okay. And then how do you mitigate that? Number one. Number two, do you have access to the tools that the elite have? Now, when companies are willing to open that door and allow you to be able to leverage those tools to scale, let's bring it down to the levels we can play the game instead of maybe in the millions. Hey, maybe I can save up $50 to $100 a week and begin to seed these types of tools so that I can shift that generational financial trajectory because now I have a different vision of what can happen for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it takes a Sherpa to show you the top of the mountain, right? And to
Yeah.
show you what's possible. Mhm.
And I love that you could actually see the numbers
Mhm.
growing. The more you put into yourself, like paying
Yeah.
yourself, the more your money grows. And the fact that it's actually safe, that it doesn't go up and down
Mhm.
as the market
Exactly.
goes up and down. When I was looking at
Yeah.
that numbers, I was like, that's even possible? Like, I was so shook. Like, I was like a kid in the candy store talking about money. And I was like, wow, that is actually kind of crazy idea
Mm.
that
Mhm.
can put money, because we all, like you said, we're all trained to just go 401k,
Yeah.
401k, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, you can borrow money from your 401k if you buy a franchise. But then I'm like, you don't get taxed for that? And they're like, no. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. But now you still have to give back to your
Yeah.
401k though. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like all that, there's still penalty one way or another. And I like that you said, can you imagine if you can say, I'm going to retire now? My dad did that. He retired at
Mhm. Mhm.
36.
There you
Not
go.
that he had money, but he was determined to just quit working on business. He's like, I'm not working for these people anymore. I'm so
Mm.
tired.
Mhm.
He worked for his job for 28 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
hmm My mom worked for Chevron for 36 years.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad's like, I'm done with corporate America.
Mm. Mhm.
So he opened up a business,
There you
and
go.
we grew from one store to three store, and I had to move
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
Boston, so we had to close down after I left. But it was something that he really liked, and he just worked part time. And he's like, "Okay, I'm done with America, going back to Asia. Bye."
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
literally.
Mhm.
And so imagine it. That's not as easy as I say it. There's so many hardships in
Mhm.
there. But imagine, I just can't. Like, I'm closing my eyes and picturing like, what can I do with 500,000 a month? A lot. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like
Mhm.
a month.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much up leveling can we all do, right? And living that, life purpose itself. And, the other challenges that I see a lot, right? Going back to your question, is the same thing you just mentioned, right? Because we're all droned into or drummed into get a 401k, 401k, right? Do we ask a question beyond that? And why are we doing like this with our 401ks? Because we don't want to see, these kinds of things.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
because you have
interesting.
to, yeah, you have to spend time playing catch up with those kinds of tools that have any market volatility. What if you can have ways to plug that hole? What would that bucket look like? Right. So those are additional questions that people can begin to inquire into. And then what that allows is to have that openness to look at perhaps some ideas. Mhm.
Yeah, and I love your concept of, can you just turn on your faucet and the money
Hmm.
just keeps flowing? I'm like, bring it, Grace. Bring it.
Because that's what the wealthy do, right?
Yeah.
Because they
Turn on
have
the faucet.
multiple ones of these things set up. And then whenever they need cash, guess what they do? They don't go to their bank. They go to themselves in terms of turning on the faucet from these buckets that they've set up. And it also creates collateralization, where you can cycle money in and out of these tools to then buy properties, buy investments, do other things with, fund businesses, fund college education, fund that retirement. And there are ways to do it where it's a tax advantage situation because a personal loan to yourself cannot be taxed, right? So it's really knowing how to play the game in the highest level of the game, where you understand the rules. And when you understand the rules, then you have a shot at winning, don't you?
Yeah, because now you
Mhm,
have a mentor to show you, that's not how it works. It goes this way.
mhm,
And you're like,
mhm.
okay, how about this way? Okay. I'm just trying to imagine myself. I'm like, yeah, I want to like rent a villa in Italy and then just drive my Ferrari. We're good, Grace. We're good. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like that's
yeah.
my goal, that I'm like, but I really want to leave a legacy and an
Mhm,
impact for the world, because at
mhm.
the end of the day, honestly, we're joking around with all these things, but at
Yeah,
the end of the day, money goes away.
it
You're never
does.
going to remember that money and all the things that you get, but people will remember who you are as a person and what
Mhm,
impact and legacy that you're living for the people,
mhm,
right? And that you will
mhm,
be remembered. Like all of these people that we remember, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, right? You don't remember them for the money that they have or not
mm,
have.
mhm, mhm.
You remember them because they made an impact,
That's
and
right.
that's their legacy,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
And a video that I watched recently, and this has been very inspiring for me, CJ, is I saw two videos, right? East Indian families who basically left the city and went to live in the mountains. Yeah. And the impact that they were able to create was really with community, building villages, because the way that we live in the Western world today, I own my lot, you own your lot, there are fences between the lot, there's no communal spaces. But in the cultures that you and I come from, it's communal, right? It's intergenerational. And that's the piece that I would love to bring back and recreate villages within communities, within suburban communities, even within rural communities where I live. And one of these ladies started an industry beginning to support 10 families in a village to do a weaving industry. Yeah. And bringing solar into these villages to better people's lives. Today, they're supporting over 2,200 families in 64 villages. Now, talk about impact and legacy. That's the kind of stuff that I'm wanting to do more.
Oh my gosh, I get
Mhm.
goosebumps. Ugh,
Mhm.
because yes, and we were talking about this. Like Western culture is very individualistic. CJ
Yeah.
messed up. She really
Yeah.
royally messed up. CJ messed up. Eastern culture, for our Asian culture, CJ messed up. The whole family is messed up. They didn't raise her well. They didn't do this right. Like you get blamed for
Yeah.
everything. That's a disadvantage. But the advantage is that communal. Hey, I
Yeah.
need some Grace. Grace, do you have sugar? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can I have eggs? I forgot to go to the
But
store.
CJ, you're building that right now with
I
this
am.
community.
I
Yeah.
am. I know. And
Virtually.
that's what is exciting because I'm building heart centered individuals who's willing to give their services to the public.
Yes.
And I really want Level Up Academy to be all over the world, leveling up everyone in any possible way through education. Do I mean higher ed? No. Okay. I mean
Life
education.
education, right?
Yes.
Life
Yes.
skills, success skills, financial,
Mindset,
yeah, mindset,
financial
you name it.
skills. Yeah, all kinds of skills. And
Stuff
that's what
that we don't learn from school.
no, you don't learn from that. You don't even learn how to cook. We don't have any
Yeah.
more of those cooking and sewing. And I was talking to somebody yesterday and you're like, yeah, remember those home ec
Mhm.
class? I'm like, yeah, I used to cook for lunch. We used to like do some weaving. We used to do
Mhm.
sewing. I don't even know how to use a machine. I sew by hand.
So by hand.
Yeah, I can sew by hand, no problem. I've been
Wow.
doing it since I was 5.
Mhm.
But machine, not so much. But cutting machines, I can do that.
Mm.
I can fly a drone. I can do engineering and robotics, just not sewing. Like I can't sew the
Right.
machine. But if I want to, I could. But that's what I want people to know. If you want to, you could,
It's
right? That's
willingness, right? It
yeah,
all boils
that's
down to
why
willingness.
Grace is here for you. Now, how do you tailor your financial guidance to meet unique needs and goals of your clients? Like people might be thinking,
Hmm.
oh, so you have to have a lot of money, Grace, to reach clients,
Yeah.
right?
That's the other common misconception, right? I have to have money. In fact, I was talking to a lady yesterday and that was how she felt, right? But understanding that, holy cow, today there's tools where you can take someone to begin to put, $50 into something, $100 into something. We all can redirect some of those funds into beginning to pay ourselves first. Yeah. And everything starts from a seed. So it's really seeding something. And then as that grows, because your vision grows with it. So depending on that person's goals and needs, right? How do you tailor that? Everybody's going to have something different. So in conversation is how we get to know their unique needs and goals, and then to be able to structure these things. And the 3 things that I love to structure for are financial safety nets, because we all need it if we're working paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. A medical crisis can happen. And as a nurse, I know today cancer is at least $1 million diagnosis.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, how can we mitigate that? I'm talking on the bottom end. We're not even talking about the experimental stuff. Yeah. And so, second thing is how do you structure for someone's dignity through life in terms of a guaranteed lifetime income, right? Because the pension is no longer available. How can we create that for ourselves personally? Third thing is how do we mitigate taxation? Because my land taxes just got doubled this year. I don't know about you guys, that was not something that I agreed to, but it's something that I have to deal with, right? And so how can we build in these levers, so to speak, so that we can have an advantage when it comes to taxation? And it's really just knowing the rules, like I mentioned before, and also the principles of wealth building, and they're really quite simple. It's not as complicated as most people believe it to be. So those are the limiting beliefs that I had to overcome. And so in that journey of overcoming is now understanding what perhaps a regular person like me needs to go through and climb that Mount Everest for their finances. Yeah.
Yeah, what I want everyone to understand is what Grace is saying. Give up your habits of Starbucks. You could actually grow this 10 times in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
because I was thinking, I'm like, oh, yeah, sometimes my kids and I do that. And I looked at my habits, my bad habits of
Sure.
Starbucks. It's like 200 a week.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or eating out money. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just be able to reallocate some of those monies to pay ourselves first.
Yeah,
Mhm.
eating out is another thing. You could
Yeah.
cook at home, but you're
Yes.
like, oh, I just don't want to cook at home. I
Mm.
cooked salmon yesterday, and my
Yeah.
daughter's like, ooh. And then I think I had some it was a seafood dish that I was doing, like
Mm-hmm.
three different things. And she's like, oh, I don't need to go buy sushi today. I'll just eat salmon. I was like, thank God, because sushi's in, you know what I mean? Like,
Sushi's, yeah.
yeah, she
Sushi's up
loves.
there. Or just make your own sushi at home. It's so much more fun, right? One of the most fun things I used to do with the kids, and we still do as a family, is to share meals together. Beyond that is making meals together, right?
Mhm.
And building community together with family. That's the coolest thing, or friends. Hmm.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
oldest daughter can't cook for life. She'll burn boiled water like my husband, but
Mm.
she can bake. She can bake with
Oh, see, there you go.
my youngest daughter does not bake, but she can cook. Like,
Mm.
and I have over easy eggs, sweetie. Breakfast is ready for her. She's been cooking since 11 for me for
Mm.
breakfast on Sunday. That's the Sunday thing that we do.
Yeah.
We make pancakes, bacon, and then
Mm.
um
Hmm.
she makes over easy eggs for mommy and bacon. She's good. She's good. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, you're good. You can survive this one. Oh, we're gonna have to stick with ramen with this one because she doesn't know how to do burgers. But baking,
Hmm.
she's good. And that's one thing I love about that. It's like time for your family. You really
Yeah.
need it. Yeah. And Sunday is definitely a good thing. Now, before we end this, I can't believe it's already ending. I was
Mm.
loving this conversation. If this is your last day today, I think I kind of know what you're gonna say. On this earth, what would be your parting message to your current and future families in terms of living life, legacy, and impact?
Mm. That's something that is one of the deepest questions, because it talks about that core value piece, right? Um, for me, it's really just be truly who you really are meant to be, and just continue to follow that light within yourself. Yeah. However it may look on the outside, it's perfect just as it is. And so keep shining.
Aww, your great great grandkids are gonna see that. YouTube's gonna be here for a while.
Yeah.
This will live forever. Now, how can they get a hold of you? This is my
Thank you, CJ.
LinkedIn. This
Mhm.
is your LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's the best way to get a hold of me. In terms of stuff that I'm up to, things, ways to get a hold of me. My Calendly is also on there if anyone wants to have a conversation, just to begin to get to know each other and then see how we can help each other out. I usually love these types of conversations. And obviously, any questions if they are interested in the financial Sherpa piece. Mhm.
Yes. So all my YouTube people, we just hit 4,000
I love it.
yesterday. Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it took me a while there, but I actually want to create a culture of
Mm.
celebrating micro wins. You don't need to wait
Yes.
for big wins to celebrate because sometimes it's exhausting. Okay, just like
Mm. Mhm.
when are we
And
gonna?
it's too long, right?
It is.
Let me show you something, CJ. You're gonna love this. Can you see?
Yeah.
What does that word say? I don't know if
Celebrate.
it's backwards for you. Celebrate.
No,
Yeah.
celebrate. Yeah.
Celebrate. Yeah. Um, so yeah, thank you for resonating that.
Yeah, I do. I
Mhm.
celebrate my micro wins because my big win and my micro win could be somebody else's huge win or
Mm.
somebody else's small wins. I don't care. I'm not living for anybody else. I'm living for me. So I'm
Well,
like,
living for you, and by you doing this is also living for everyone else, right? Showcasing the community, showcasing the resources, making the connections to all these different dots out there. I mean, you make this look so easy. Yeah, in terms of what you do every single day, and that's the trait of a master, and that's what we all get to become, one day. I'm still learning every single day
yeah, but
from
you have
folks like
your
you.
own zone of genius that I couldn't do. So it wouldn't matter. This is why I love collaboration over
Mhm,
competition.
mhm,
Because when we try to compete on something, because you're like, oh, I kind of like what she does, but then you're trying it and you don't get to do it and you feel like, oh, I failed. It's not because you failed, you tried it. That's good.
mhm.
But sometimes that's just not within you. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you're a failure
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
person. Why do we
yeah.
always judge ourselves like the end of the world because I couldn't do A, B, and C? It's not like that. It's a
Yeah,
matter.
it's a way shower to you that, hey, perhaps I'm meant for something different.
Yep.
I have my gifts, and we need to honor that within ourselves, all of us.
Yeah, but
Bring
you should
something
try.
to.
Everyone
Mhm.
should try at
I
least
think
once,
so too. Yeah,
right?
at least once, and then see what it's like, right?
Yeah.
And then you'll know
Yeah, and if you don't
whether
like
it
it,
aligns.
you don't like it. It doesn't fit. That's fine, right? I mean, when you
Yeah.
stop, you're like, "Oh, I failed." No, you didn't fail. You tried. That's all. Failure
Mhm.
to me is if when you stop trying.
Yes,
When you
when you give
stop
up.
trying, you literally are just living here, like physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're dead
Mhm,
already.
mhm,
Right?
mhm.
Keep trying. Doesn't matter if it
Keep
doesn't work.
trying. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the amazing thing in the resilience of the human is that even sometimes when we've given up and we're down in the dirt, yeah, in terms of bottom of the bottom, you still actually have a chance for revival, right? It's called Rising of the Phoenix, and that is a powerful theme in terms of that regeneration. And it's that tenacity of life that allows us to evolve through how many gazillions of years as a human, race and as a planet. Yeah.
thousands. Yeah,
Hmm.
and you just keep
Hmm.
going. Like, I mean, look at all the movies that you're watching, right? Like this hero's journey, think about it, like
Hero's journey.
especially
Yeah.
in Asian culture, like, we're like, oh my god, there's beautiful whatever, and then she got murdered halfway dead, and then
Mm.
she rise up, and then now she's like the hero of the whole story. You are your hero of your own story. Hello.
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And there are
Yeah.
ups and downs. You got to get that through your head. But I think for us is when we are doing so good, in the back of our subconscious, we're like, when is it gonna fall apart?
Mm.
Why do we do that? Stop.
Well,
Enjoy the
it's the
moment.
survival, right? It's that egoic survival mode. It's that fear, so that it's preserving us ultimately. But understanding that it's just part of being human, and it's okay, and it's okay, and all the moments are okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Any last nugget before we end this?
Bringing back to just be ourselves, right? Just being the true star of what we're meant to be here for. Every moment is perfect as it is. And just keep saying yes. Just keep showing up. And even when we say no, it's okay.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Grace. Wait for me in the green room. I will be
Okay.
right
Sounds
there.
good.
Bye,
See.
everybody. Okay, look, this is Grace. You need to go and show up for yourself, like Grace said, and be kind to yourself. Pat yourself in the back. It's okay if no one else. See, CJ's patting you right now. Okay, feel me, okay? And you guys, I will see you next week. Oh, FYI, I'm hoping that registration will be up by Monday, or at least pre-registration. There's so many things behind the scenes, and I have a giveaway if you register early as well. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, just watch and subscribe in YouTube, and also in here on LinkedIn, and keep following what we're doing at Level Up Academy. Have a beautiful and fantastic day and the rest of your week, and happy early Friday. And actually, some of our brothers and sisters are already Friday. So happy Friday to you guys at the other side of the world. Thanks for watching another episode of Level Up Academy today, brought to you by your none other host, Dr. Leland. Please do not forget to hit subscribe
or push that notification bell. So anything that we have an activity on at Level Up Academy, you will be the first one to know. If you would like to be a guest in our podcast, both on the MP3, audio only, and also here on live in our YouTube channel, please let me know. DM me. Let's connect. Have a fantabulous day.
Broken alone, I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware.